It is approximately 500 meters, half a kilometer long, and approximately a quarter of a kilometer wide. Now, you'll see it physically. Most of the boundary is destroyed by this part, the east corner, which you will enter. Here is the main gate and the colonnade. Remember I said you count the columns if you want. There are these bastions, and each bastion has those panels. You see the panels? And there are 14 forts lower. Here's one. This area here is known as the Jubilee Court, the Hebset Court. You will be seeing some of these buildings that have been restored by the man who restored this necropolis. He spent 70 years here. His name is Jean-Philippe Loer, a Frenchman. He died a few years ago. I had the pleasure of meeting him. You will see his office. They've reconstructed his office inside. A great man. I met him in Paris in 93. He's restored some of these buildings. He restored part of the hall, the colonnade, and perhaps Yusuf might take it on the north face. As you see, the pyramid is scaffolded. We're doing restoration work, so we may or may not be able to go on the north face. If you do, then have a good look at the Serdab. It's not the Serdab, this is the cubicle that I told you about. We'll talk about this tonight. It is the key, really it is, the key to understand the pyramid. If you understand why they did this, then you begin to understand what they had in mind and why they eventually did these pyramids and Giza and so forth. But we're trying to read the mind of the architect who did this, the high priest of the Opus. Now, directions. The site is aligned towards the east. Now, in any research, in case you start research, there is people who did research before you. There are the experts and professionals and so forth. There's one thing I learned when I did research, 30 years now, is always check your sources. First of all, you have to go to primary source. But even the primary source might have made a mistake. And if it's important for you, if you're going to build a whole thesis on this site, then you build a whole thesis and you find that the man who gave you the information had it wrong. This is a very good case of this, because all pyramids, particularly the Giza pyramids, and particularly the Great Pyramid, are almost perfectly aligned to the cardinal directions, the astronomical cardinal directions. People think compass. No, forget compass. Compass, you can't get precision. You need to aim at celestial objects and stars. The Giza pyramid is aligned to due north. The four sides are aligned to the four cardinal directions. The precision is 3 arc minutes of error. That means 5% of a single degree. It's bullseye. We today, when we set buildings in Manhattan, we don't go for that kind of precision. You don't need that kind of precision. It's too good. It's like buying a Swiss watch Rolex for $3,000 because you want somehow a millionth of a second. Who wants a millionth of a second? I mean, you don't spend $3,000. Remember my watch? Cost $100. So, we have a problem here. Because he is the very first architect, the high priest of Heliopolis, stargazer par excellence, astronomer of astronomers, and he makes a mistake. He's got this site 4 degrees off north. It's exactly 4.5 degrees off north, to the east of north. Now, 4 degrees can't be an error in sighting. You don't make that kind of error. No even half-baked astronomer or surveyor would make that kind of error. If you made half a degree, okay, you'd say, well, he wasn't being very careful with his instruments. Even a degree, which is bad, but you might say, well, he was an amateur and he didn't know what he was doing, and 4.5 degrees is like, it's like saying, he intended to hit a dart in the dartboard, but he shot on this side of the room. I mean, this is not an error. So here is the way that you've seen an anomaly. It doesn't make sense. There's a problem here. Did he make an error, or did he deliberately want to have it 4.5 degrees? And once you ask that question, and you pursue it, you open up. You may lead nowhere, but this has opened up a whole study. It's produced 2 books. I've already written one, and I'm writing another. It produced, you're entering the mind of the man. Why did he want to put it 4.5 degrees off north? Then he builds the cubicle. He pushes it against the back of the pyramid, north. Here is a funny thing. Now, I'm going to write about this cubicle. In 2006, I'm going to write my book, The Egypt Code, and I'm going to base my whole thesis on where the king, inside the chamber, is sitting on a throne, he's looking through 2 peepholes, like an astronomer, like somebody on a Cape, on a space capsule. Sorry, I'm working with that. And he is looking at the northern sky. It's clear. He's sitting on a throne and he's leaning down and he's looking through those peepholes. So I want to know where exactly he's looking. I know the direction, 4.5 degrees, that way. And how much up? What altitude? So I open the books and I work out. The expert today, one of the experts today is Mark Taylor, the American Egyptologist, big friend of Howard's book. He says 13 degrees inclination. I open another book from another expert, it says 16 degrees. I open another book, somebody says 17 degrees. So where is it? Who is right? Because it makes a huge difference. 1 degree is 3-4 centuries off. As we time, you can use the stars to time. So what do you do? What do you do? Well, what you do is you come here and measure it yourself. You come with good instruments and you measure it. But wait a minute. You measure it and then you say, maybe you made a mistake. So you bring an independent measurement. You measure it, and then you bring somebody else who checks your measurement. And then you know for sure. That's it. I don't care if the Archangel Gabriel comes down and tells me it's 13 degrees, because it's not. It is 16.5 degrees. That's it. I've had 2 astronomers come here from Penn State University with me independently. I don't know who says what. That's it. The truth is not democratic. You can bring me 1,000 engineers, 1,000 architects, 1,000 Egyptologists, and I will say you're wrong, because I've measured it, I've had it checked, and that's it. But when I published it, believe it or not, I got letters from Egyptologists saying, Mark Lehrer says 13 degrees. Now, once you know the spot, you mark the X on the sky, and then you say, well, what are you looking at? Or what was he looking at? What was he looking at? What was he living?
Was what, sorry?
What
sorry, I missed the last one.
It was looking at. What word did you miss?
I thought you said something after that.
What is he looking at sort of the peoples?
I know something. He's looking at something in the sky.
Oh, I see something. Okay. Sorry, there was a coughing.
All right. So what is he looking at?
What is he looking at?
Well, he's looking at the sky.
Yes.
What's in the sky?
Oh, stars or constellations?
When was he looking at that?
What is he trying to align with? Something specific.
Well, how can you find out what he's trying to look at?
What's a mathematical equation? I don't know the answer.
No, I mean, you're a researcher. Okay, now, you've got the spot. You mark the spot in the sky. It's 16.5 degrees altitude, 4.5 degrees off the east of north. You got the spot. You mark his spot.
Yeah, so mark that spot on the sky and run your software backwards and see if something appeared there at some time.
Yes, that's one way of doing it. So you need to know the date. You need to know the date of this place. And you can run the software, like you said, and you'll see something. Well, whatever it is, it's moving round and round, so you see what's coming on his line of sight. But maybe what you see, and maybe it is on this line of sight, but maybe it's nothing to do with what he had in mind. Where do you go? You go to the texts, right? You go to the pyramid texts and say, what do they have in mind here? And there's a ritual. We know there's a ritual that they did to align monuments. It's known the stretching of the cord. Stretching of the cord, and we will do this ritual somewhere along the line. I will use one of the ladies because here it is. I have to be a bit quick because they're waiting for me at for the shoot. I have to do these things so you can see me on TV, right? The ritual. Before this was built, before it was sand, the Pharaoh came here with a retinue of priests and priestesses. You can imagine him coming from Memphis, and he came here at night. Let's see the torches, and come here. And he's going to perform a ritual with a priestess who represents a goddess, the goddess Seshat. And they're going to hold a stick, they're going to hold a mallet, so they can push the stick, and between the two sticks is a cord. And she stands on the north side, he stands on the south side, and they pull the cord. And he says, a bit left, a bit right, 4.5 degrees, a bit up, I got it. And they fix the axis of the site. And they tell us that they were aiming at something they call the Meshetiu, and they draw it for us. It is the Big Dipper. They're aiming at the constellation of the Big Dipper. Now we have a clue here. Let's see what the Big Dipper does at the time they build the complex. We'll do it tonight. Let's go. That way.